Hello everybody. So with this coronavirus going on, you're probably hearing all the time that you have to wash your hands very frequently, that you have to use sanitizer to prevent yourself from getting the virus, correct? But how do you do if you don't have a sink nearby where you can wash your hands? So I'm here to give you some extra tips of how you can keep your hands clean. And I'm doing that because I have been living with such type of care since I was 16 years old, which is quite a long time ago. This is because I had a car accident, so I lost the vision of one eye. So I have one eye and I wear contact lenses in this eye. So it can be very serious for me if I take any kind of infection on this eye because it's unique. So I always had extra care to keep my hands clean, because every time I need to itch my eyes or clean my eyes, my fingers, especially the tips of my fingers, will be clean. Well, as clean as possible. And also because I travel a lot, I'm constantly in places where I don't have any infrastructure to wash my hands. So over the years, I developed some habits which I want to share here with you. So the first one is, remember, you have 5 fingers. You have the front of your hand, the back of your hand, you have your forearm, and you have your elbow. So explore the rest of your body to do things that you don't need so much ability, because everything that we need to do with our hands, we tend to use these fingers here mostly, and in most cases the tips of the fingers. Correct me if I'm saying in bad English, but I think it's the tips, right? So keep these fingers reserved for the things that you need ability or cleanliness. Well, especially say, because I know nothing. This is my personal experience. But if you watch the news everywhere, they're saying that the coronavirus doesn't pass through your skin itself. The problem is if you touch the virus and then you use your hands to touch your mouth, nose, or eyes. So at the moment that you touch, then it gets into your system, right? So what you don't want is touch your eyes, nose, and mouth with dirty fingers. So try to keep these fingers clean. So if you need to touch anything, you are touching with the clean ones. And then for all the rest, you use your other 2 fingers, especially your small finger, because that moves much more. So for all dummy and dirty stuff, you can use your small finger. For instance, if you wanna press to call the elevator, if you wanna choose your number in the elevator, if you're going to type a password with something that everybody touches, you type a password with your small finger. If you want to anything that has a touch screen, for instance, like a parking lot, anything that you need to press buttons, just press buttons, you can easily do with your small finger. So touch screen of an ATM or a McDonald's or whatever, you use your small fingers. You can also use it to open doors, even though, yeah, we don't have a lot of strength on these fingers, so if the door is too heavy, it's going to be a bit harder. But then if it's too hard, then you can use this one too. So you'd go with 2. So for instance, you can open the door of a car with these 2 fingers. I know it looks kind of weird, but think about your health, huh? Also for public transportation, if you have to hold in the thingy over there, which I don't know in English, instead of holding like this, which is going to touch the tips of your fingers, you can just put some pressure and touch it like this. If you have space, you can hold it like this. You can also just put pressure here just to have something to support you, you know. But like this is better, because then you can use your body and your arm to balance yourself. And in worst case scenario, if you cannot do any of this, then you hold like this, you know, in the middle of your fingers, and then still this and this are not touching the dirty stuff. Like this, you can keep your hands much more clean than if you were doing all of this with these 3 fingers, right? And then it will last a bit longer until you can find another sink to wash your hands. Try to watch out also for everything that you're touching. For instance, yesterday I entered in an Uber, and then I was just posing my hand like this in the seat, So that's what a normal person would do, you know, sit like this. But then instead of posing my hand like this, I pose my hand like this. Because then my fingers are not touching the seat, because I don't know whatever was in the seat, right? Second thing, always have with you some hygiene items. Like for instance, I'm always going around with baby wipes, very useful for cleaning your hands if you don't have water nearby. The gel, the sanitizer gel. I also have always paper to touch everything with the paper. I don't know how you say that in English. It's a mouchoir in French. Paper like this, you know. And also toothpaste. Why toothpaste? Because if you have a sink and you have water, but then you don't have soap in the toilet, which happens quite often, you can use the toothpaste as soap. And why is it so practical? Because if you take a soap itself, it's not very handy, you know, because it goes in the box, you have to open and close and so on, and then it gets wet. Liquid sometimes would be nice also, but sometimes it's not so handy because you put the liquids in your hand and then you have just one hand. And with the toothpaste, you can just put it in your finger like this and then it sticks, right? And then you can close and put it back on your purse, and you still have the toothpaste on your fingers. Then you wash your hands and then you don't need to touch anything anymore. I don't know if it kills any germs. I don't know if it's disinfecting anything, but it gets soapy. So you have an impression at least that you're cleaning your hands better. And then another thing is, in public toilets, always use paper to touch everything. Don't touch anything with your hand. Use papers like this. If the toilet doesn't have paper, you're carrying your own paper. But for instance, if you need to open the toilet, take the paper and then open the toilet with the paper. For instance, the toilet of the plane. Because actually I don't understand why, if someone that was infected is in an airplane, they're contacting just the people who were sitting around that person. But actually everybody goes to the toilet, right? So they should contact everybody from that airplane. But anyhow, if you go to the toilet in the plane, so if you need to open the toilet, open with the paper. And then also after, when you go wash your hands, because you normally in most airplanes you have to be pushing the water so that water comes out, and then if you let it go, then the water stops. So you can also do it with the paper. So every time you have to push it, then you touch with the paper, right? And then you can leave for less the flush, because the trash can of the airport toilet is the one that you have to pull down, you know, but then you have to basically touch the trash can, and you just wash your hands. You don't want to touch the trash can after you wash your hands, right? So what do? You don't use the trash can, you use the toilet itself. So wash your hands, use the paper to push it, with another paper to dry it, and then you flush also with paper. You press the flush, and then after you flush, you throw the last paper in the toilet, because it takes like 5 seconds until it really activates. So you can press the flush first and then through the last paper, and then your hands are clean. You didn't touch anything. Of course, you don't want to open the door with your clean hands. So what do? Open with your elbow, or worst case, open with your little finger, and then the door will get more loose. Then you can finish opening the door with your feet. And like this, you left without touching anything. And this is actually valid for any type of toilet, right? But nowadays, the most dangerous toilets are exactly the ones from the airplane and from the airport. So these are the things that I do myself, and I wanted to share with you in case you don't do it yet. I'm not a doctor, anything, but I have been taking this kind of care for so many years. I hope it's helpful. I hope you can start doing all of this, because then I'm not going to be the only weird person in the planet to have such type of care. So let's do that and reduce even more the chances that we are going to be in contact with the virus. I could give some other generic tips, but I'll leave you for another video. And normally I don't do videos about that, but if you want to follow me to learn more about traveling and now about solo maternity, follow me on Instagram at nice to see _ you.